All right. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you for joining me here today. About almost noon, Lions Talk Live. Got a little bit of a break from work, so I wanted to jump on live with the story that I've been working on. A number of you and the Duke crew, everybody watching, has been talking for basically since the end of the NFC title game. What were the Lions going to do on defense this upcoming season? What could they do to kind of change and reform this defense, take it to another level? Think everybody watching understands that, hey, the secondary has been highly invested into. We've had some draft components go into it. I did a video yesterday on Mekhi Wingo and some of the speculation, views, just opinions are coming out of OTAs. With that coming out with Mekhi Wingo looking like one of the better players out there for the Detroit Lions, I also want to get another story to you guys. While it may not be as headline catching as yesterday with Mekhi Wingo, I will say this. It's noteworthy. A lot of people are noticing with the Detroit Lions some of the things they are doing with Jack Campbell and OTAs. We saw last year Campbell really grow into his own as a linebacker for the Detroit Lions and in the NFL. Before we get into the meat of today's story, though, just a couple real quick things. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Making our march for 6,800 subs. We're 5 subs away from hitting 67, 105 from hitting 68. If you enjoy the video, hit that thumbs up button as well. Um, so real quick, because I don't have long for this, I only have about 5 or 10 minutes, so I got to try to compress this real quick. Jack Campbell, let's do a little bit of Scooby doing and dive into his rookie year. So the first round pick in 2023, the number 18th overall pick for the Lions, started the season out kind of slowly, mostly rotational player. We all get he wasn't the breakout player that Sam Laporta or Gibbs were, etc., or Brian Branch, to be fair. But by the time the middle of the year came, let's keep this in mind. He did start 11 of the last 12 regular season games and 2 of the 3 playoff games. That says something for his rise and ascension as a linebacker in this group. And yes, we can all say the defense was not great last year, but let's also consider this with Campbell. He finished the regular season with 95 tackles, 52 solo, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and a pass defended. His 95 tackles were second most on the team behind only Alex Anzalone's 129. So Campbell, like most players, is we see they go from the rookie year to sophomore year, noticeably a jump. Year 3 really seems to be for the Detroit Lions, and perhaps you could say most of the NFL, real breakout years. But we could also say from Jack Campbell last year, and why I'm bringing this up, I'll get to in a second, they use him more and more as an outside edge in a middle A or B gap blitzer, and he noticeably got better and better with it throughout the year. A lot of people at times said, man, which one is Hutchinson? Which one is Campbell? Because let's be honest, both dudes are massive human beings. Yes, Hutchinson's about 6'7", 6'8", or whatever. Campbell 6'4", 6'5", whatever, but you get it. Both are huge dudes. I also think they all both have one thing very much in common. Their power going up to the middle and taking on blockers is noteworthy. This helps out in the run game when somebody tries to run against the blitz. You and I and everybody who's watched Lions Talk Live had noticed throughout the year. Last year, when we got to about the Denver game, Aaron Glenn went back to the year prior's defense when the Lions went from 1-6 to 9-8, where basically just man coverage, zero coverage across the board, blitzing the gaps, the A and B gap, and basically causing problems for offenses. You got to get rid of it quickly and accurately, or you're probably having your quarterback take hits. You saw that throughout last year, and Campbell's use in that formation, those setups became more and more prevalent. As the defense improved, Campbell's, I guess, role within that defense also changed. He went from just being a middle linebacker playing mostly, zone coverage to actually playing man-to-man coverage at times, and yes, being used as a blitzer. Could it be that, in my opinion, that Jack Campbell is going to be one of the players that benefits the most from this new defensive scheme coming up? My answer offhand is yes. Going back and watching some of the plays that he was involved with last year, you could see small, minute details, things he wasn't accustomed to doing in college that the Lions were asking and trying to expand his role within their defense. I do believe Jack Campbell's going to have an outstanding 2024/25 season, but I want to see what you guys have to say. It's my opinion. If you were to guess right now and you were supposed to look into the basketball and faith and ask Dan O'Damas what he's going to predict Jack Campbell's stats are, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to put Jack Campbell down for 3 interceptions, 115 to 125 tackles, and I'm going to give him 7.5 sacks on the year. I think he's going to be that kind of impactful player. I think you're going to see him do quite a bit this year. But now you've heard my thoughts. You've heard me break it down. What are your thoughts on Captain Jack Campbell? All right, Brent. Woo! The first woo of the show. Robert G. Hey, Coach. Hey, Rob. How you doing? Clay. What do you got? Go Lions. Thanks. Really interested in Jack Campbell progressing this year. Also, why is everyone forgetting about Houston? I am not, Clay. I am on the bandwagon to say he's your starting end opposite side, Aiden Hutchinson. I might be the El Presidente of the James Houston, fan club, or what do you want to say? So I get a lot of people have kind of forgotten because last year he really didn't play. Let's just say he took the year off because of the injury. It happens. But I do think James Houston is going to be a just wrecking ball this year. Again, him, Jack Campbell, what I think they're going to be able to use these guys, among other people, what these guys are going to be able to do in this new hybrid Blitzburg defense, the Silver Crush, the Silver Rush, whatever you want to name it. Malberg, maybe, because, Detroit Lions, Malberg. I don't know. But I think James Houston is also going to have a very good year. First, the let's go, guys. Yes, pretty please hit those like buttons. As you guys all know, it helps out the channel a lot. Try to get each video to around, 200, 300 thumbs up. All right, Brent, Captain Jack is ready to lay the wood on the NFC North and the rest of the NFL. Oh, yeah, Macho Man there. And I'm with you, Brent. I think he's going to have an outstanding second year in the league. I think he's probably one of those guys, sort of like Houston, didn't get talked about a lot last year. So because of it, people are sleeping on him. Ian, what do you got? Jack Campbell is starting to remind me of Chris Spielman a little bit. I agree with that. A side note, I can't wait to see Wingo go in the work. Yeah, do the work in pads. Yeah, I agree with that. It'll be interesting to see, really, when we get to the preseason. I get they're not going to show a ton of things. Keep everything, very vanilla, whatever you want to say, basic out there. They don't want teams to have film on them. But I think when we get to that regular season opener against the Rams, I think the Rams, Stafford's going to be either getting crushed on the hit or he's going to be throwing for big yards. And I'm going to say when he throws that ball downfield for big yards, if he's a little late, a little off, getting hit as he throws, that's where I think the purpose of this defense is really going to start showing up. Those hits where they're fluttering a little bit or a little off target, that's where I think our coverage is going to come into play and get some picks. So that's why I'm picking some bigger numbers on sacks and interceptions this year. All right, Big M, Jack will be feared by other teams / players. I agree. His mass, his size, his ability to come downhill, I think he is rare in those regards. He can crush some people, and he might not even be trying. He is so big, so massive, and athletic. I get his 40 times or anything to jump up and down about, but his shuttle drill, 3-step technique, 3 cones, all the other stats just blew people off the charts. If you go back and remember his scouting combine, he was one of the rarest guys ever in the NFL as far as the scouting combine. So what I pay attention more to, 40 times are interesting to me when it comes to running backs, wide receivers, defensive backs. And not that it can't be for linebackers or ends as well, but I pay attention more to their 10 and 20 yard times just because that's going to be more their area of coverage typically and responsibilities. Those guys aren't, trying to streak down the field for, 90-yard bombs or covering somebody who's trying to do that. That's not really their forte. That's why I pay less attention to it at most other positions. All right, one funky. I think he's going to be better. Yes, Chris was never a good coverage guy. No, that wasn't Spielman. Yeah, you're 100% right there, Funky. Spielman's responsibilities usually were not in those regards. Not that he didn't do it sometimes, but Jack Campbell, I can remember one of the first plays I saw him on last year. He covered, and I don't remember whose running back it was, but the fact he maintained coverage and leverage on that running back, in a pass pattern to the flats, that showed to me just how athletic this dude really is. All right, a couple more here. Patrick, what do you got? Jack Campbell last year showed flashes of greatness. Looking forward to watching how he progresses this year. Agreed, 100%. Doug, he was a rookie. We need a top-notch linebacker. He has the potential to be special. Anzalone has a few years on Jack. He does. Patience, yeah. I'm guessing we'll see a noticeable increase in Jack Campbell's performance this year. But year 3, who knows? Maybe it happens this year. But year 3 is where I think he's really going to shine. 9 Drinks, how much will your new defensive line or will our new defensive line coach have on the linebackers? As far as I think when they're going to incorporate them in the blitzes and the stunts, the pulls, etc., I think quite a bit because you're going to have to coordinate all those aspects, the bodies moving around. So that's a great question, 9 Drinks. And I think, they'll Williams will probably play a big role there. Let's see, Walt. Good morning, Coach and New Crew. Woo! And you know what? Just for you, just because never gets old, man. Never gets old. Chrome, what up, though? What up, Chrome? That man, Jack will be a beast this year and could be taking Alex's spot by next year. And you think about where the contracts line up, it could happen, man. And I don't wish that on anybody. I like our team, but unfortunately, it is a business. At some point, people do move on. All right, Ian, I hear you, Funky, and I agree. I agree with what you guys are saying. One Funky, I'd rather see Jack at the mic and Alex at the wheel. Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity for that, and somewhere Barnes is going to be in that rotation as well. All right, Robert, got to agree with you, Coach! Exclamation point! He will be a ball hawk. On the move, getting a lot of tackles. Yeah, and I think because of his size and especially his arm length, his wingspan, he's going to get a lot of deflections too. So I'm anticipating a pretty good year from him. All right, Dave, Coach, do you do a show on the 21st to get cut? Yeah, I'll do a show on the cuts when it gets there, but we got a little bit of time on that. But Dave, yeah, I think you'll see a lot of those guys, especially the second wave and third wave guys, get snatched up by tons of teams, because our team is pretty deep. John, I think we have Stafford gave Stafford a concussion last time. He made his throw hand bleeding, hard nose bleed. Yeah, and I believe they'll be much better up front this year. Some of it because of the defensive line coaching, some of it because of the just growth of the players. The other part is we've added some pretty good pieces here. The coverage also is going to add to more hits, because I think the coverage is going to be significantly better. And that's no disrespect to the guys last year. I just think what we potentially have this year will be better. Dave, after you do a mock team of seconds, yes, yeah, I know that was your idea, man. I need to do that. Robert, I feel sorry for receivers running across the route. Yeah, the crossing routes against Blackjack. Yes, when we go to zone coverage, which I don't think we'll do as much as we did the start last year, but we will mix it in sometimes. And yeah, if you're running a crossing pattern against some of the dudes we have over the middle, yeah, there could be some old school type hits, which I get are not legal anymore. All right, one funky side note, extra year, I want to draft Barnett. Next year, I want to draft Barrett Carter, linebacker from Clemson. All right, we'll add him to the list. Hatman, thank you for always giving us good content, Dan. But it's time for you to enjoy the weekend, brother. Yeah, I'm about ready to head on out and do some work, and then I can enjoy the weekend. All right, guys, I'll go and wrap it up. Have a good one. If there's some breaking news later today, try to get it to you. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Also, if you would, be so kind, hit the thumbs up button. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.